I think people who like don't do it but admire it. I think there's like a sort of romanticization around it, but like it's really there isn't. It's not a very romantic way to live. You know, I was peeing in.
You don't think so?
I was peeing in a Coke bottle last night. Like, yeah, not really. You know, it's like especially when you don't have heat and it's like raining and you know there's like leaking on one side and you know your auxiliary battery's dying, so you're gonna run out of light in like half an hour and you just gotta go pee and there's like a creep park next to you. You don't want to go outside. Just like there's like that aspect to think about. And it's just like, it's not really romantic.
No.
But I think for the right type of person, it can be a ridiculously healthy lifestyle. And I think if you are that type of person, you can be.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Seeds of Consciousness podcast. Today I am going to be discussing van life with a fellow van lifer, Jack. Yeah. I do not know him. I just met him off of a Facebook post because I wanted to talk to other people about their experiences. So we'll see where this conversation takes us. To begin, how about you tell us a little bit about who you are, what kind of van you're driving, and how long you've been doing this?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Jack Amos, and I'm a writer from Dawson City in the Yukon. Mm-hmm. And I grew up living on and off in I guess it was like an 81 B150 Dodge Caravan. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of graduated high school and went to university for a little bit and then dropped out. I've just been working like a seasonal job in geology.
Nice.
Yeah. And then in the winters I just this is my first winter down in Victoria, not enrolled in school, and I've just been holed up in a it's really big red maroon 83 Dodge, and just writing, thinking,
awesome.
having a good time. Yeah.
So you've been doing this since your childhood, eh?
Yeah, like my family bought a van when I was like 11, and then because we lived off the grid, like just in the cabin in the woods, and we're separated from the main town by the Yukon River, and in the wintertime it freezes, and in the summertime it thaws and breaks, but in the time where it's freezing and breaking up, we would have to go to the town side for my parents to work, so we just spend all this time in. There's my dad. He's like a 6'4", like Englishman. My mom, my little sister, and our cat and our dog. We're just holed up in this like really tiny white van.
Like how many square feet are we talking? Are we talking like a Class A?
It's like, yeah, probably. Like it's tiny. Like, it's like a B1. Yeah, it's B150, so it's like way smaller than what I have now, and like.
So it's a step up now that you're all on your own, right?
Especially, yeah. And the guy bought it off of renovated it, so it's like I took the bed out and just like put like in wood paneling, so there's not really a bed. There's like these two seats, so I had to like put like a bench in between the two, and, like sleeping on that. So it's a little bit awkward with like more than 2 or 3 people. But like, yeah, it's fine. It does the job.
You make do by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why choose van life in your adult life?
Well, basically, I tried to follow the academic route, and it just was a complete failure. I think I just kind of realized I was like, man, there's like so much more out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I was just like so restless. So I was an English major, and I dropped out in January, so yeah, like a year ago now, and I actually walked across Iceland in February.
Right before COVID hit?
Right before COVID hit, yeah. So I dropped out of school. I was going to school in Guelph, Ontario, and I came back here, and I spent a month planning, living in a friend's basement, and then I, like, kind of end of March, I flew to Iceland and walked from the north coast down to the south coast. And so that was a good way to, I don't know, yeah, it's good reason to justify dropping out of university.
Okay, so wait, but wasn't that at like, was Iceland closed at that time?
No. They were open, because I booked my flights in January, and then I flew like March 28th, I think. Okay. And so COVID was like, it was ramping up, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
and then I was also just like, because like the interior of Iceland is just a like Arctic desert, so there's like nothing there.
Yeah, you can social distance pretty well by yourself there.
And I also didn't have cell phone, so I had no clue what was going on until like my 3-week stint. I had like finished and like made it to a highway, and like I was in like a roadside motel, and I like checked my news feed. I was like, holy shit, the world's ending. So yeah, then I had to book a flight back 2 weeks early, and and then just like lived and worked in Dawson kind of all through 2020.
Interesting. Yeah. And then so was deciding to live in a van like in response to the whole COVID thing?
It was more just I just knew that I was just like way too restless to rent, and I didn't know. I don't know, like my girlfriend's down here, so there's like kind of reason to stay. Yeah. But like I also knew like if I really need freedom and to do what I want. And I also hate living with people. Yeah. And I don't know, it's just because I moved out of home when I was like 15. I moved down to Victoria to do just finish high school basically, and so I had roommates like all throughout kind of my mid to late teenage years, and it was just I just hated it. It was just like just encroaching on like other space, and it's just like I just want my own, and I can't afford to rent an apartment by myself. Van's the way to go.
I totally get that. I basically had the same thing. Well, it's not that I don't like being with people, but I just like have always lived with my parents, and I'm like I need to move out of the house, but at the same time like I don't want to settle down anywhere. I want to travel, so I thought like van life is like the best way to do that. You have the comforts of a home, but also access to like remote areas that you normally couldn't go if you were like backpacking. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also just like there's no lease, so if you want to go on vacation, you can go. And also if you're doing work like online, with COVID, you can just do it from your van, like as long as there's Wi-Fi, and there's plenty of free Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
A lot of areas.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, you're currently like van lifing in Victoria or Salt Spring Island?
Victoria. Yeah.
So how is that van lifing in a city?
It's good. I like it. I mean, I just like I park, and I usually park like Cook Street or like Beacon Hill. There are spots where there's Wi-Fi, but I don't know. There's a cafe we like to work at on Cook Street, so I just usually park near there and then go and charge my laptop, and usually do between 3 to 4 hours of work in the late morning or early afternoon. And then I finish and then head back to the van and then go for a run, and then in the afternoon I might visit a friend or something and read a book, and then go to sleep. So it's nice, especially coming from a place that's already like really rural. It's nice having all the I guess luxuries of like a larger city, like not having to order anything, and cheap groceries as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as cheap as you can get for the island, right?
Yeah, cheaper than Dawson.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's nice.
Huh. I'm curious to know, like, how is it just having like a daily routine and kind of being settled in a place? Because I found, at least on my van life journey, the first 3 months were great when I like traveled across Canada, because I'm originally from Southern Ontario, so like I moved across Canada and traveled across BC like 3 times within the course of 3 months, and it was really great when I was moving around a lot. But as soon as I slowed down and I settled, like I spent almost 2 months in Squamish, which was really great. But then at that point I found it was hard to just like, I don't know, maintain like the same routine almost. Yeah. And also being in such a small space. Like, how is that for you?
I don't know. I really like it. Like I pretty much lived all summer just in a tent, because that like for work. So it's like I'm kind of used to like really small confines and not living with like running water or we also didn't have like running water or anything growing up, so that's fine. And then I don't know, like for me I really need to have a routine to rely on. Like I need to work on a regular basis, just like for the sake of my own health. So I think if I just like I don't know, I just like I tend to, it doesn't really matter where I am, it's like so long as I can put in 3 to 4 hours of like writing or processing a day and producing something, then I'm happy. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, does that make sense? Like it's just you just have something to rely on, you just have faith in it, and it kind of serves you well. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of a person who like thrives on chaos, like not in the sense of like everything like going to shit, but in the sense of always having something new. So well, I struggle doing the same thing all the time. Oh yeah, well I definitely don't like I did a big like fundraising run in November. Nice. Me and a buddy. I used to be a competitive runner. That's why I went to school in Guelph. But me and a running friend of mine, and actually a videographer, drove up to Port Alberni, and then took turns running. So switching every 25K back down to Victoria. And we were raising money for like the One Up Single Parent Resource Center.
I don't know it.
Okay, yeah, so it's a really neat, I guess, resource for single parents.
Yeah.
Where they can go and get, you know, like school supplies for kids, clothes, you know, parent coaching, and also just, you know, basic emotional needs like counseling and therapy.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. We raised like $13,000 for them, so that was a pretty big success. But yeah, it's just you know, it's just like I feel like I'm kind of like you in that I need to keep doing more new things.
Yeah.
But it's like in between these bigger projects,
yeah.
you have this routine that you rely on.
Yeah.
It's almost like a, you know, like I was actually talking to my partner about this the other day. It's like in farming, there's like a fallow period, you know, where you know, in between harvest and planting, you just have to let the soil sit, and so I think that is very much what I think just the routine and the work is for me. It's just like a fallow period where it's just you can rest and recuperate and, you know, just get more ideas, and then you use those ideas to kind of as a foundation for a larger project.
Wow, I actually really resonate with that analogy. Yeah. I feel like where I currently am in life is like a fallow period in a sense, because like I'm taking this winter hiatus, and it was like very hard for me. Like at the start, I was like very emotionally resistant, because even though I knew I needed it, like it just became unsustainable to like live in my van. Like it was like late October up in like mainland BC, right? So it was like getting cold, and I just felt like I didn't really have a connection or a structure and stuff. So I needed to take a step back and like evaluate how to move forward. But even so, like it's been hard in this time, like feeling like I'm not doing enough, or like not living the life that I want to live. Yeah. But in a sense, I think it is necessary, because like you said, it's a time to like recuperate and like figure out how to like move forward in a better and more prepared way. Yeah,
I also think it's just like the time of year as well, you know, kind of like just like winter and then like ebbing up to spring, everyone's just kind of like, ugh. You know, they're just like, they don't feel like super productive, but, you know, it's like, you know, we're gonna get there eventually. Yeah, you just gotta have faith.
So speaking of winter, what's that like in the van? I mean, we're in Victoria, so it's not really winter, but it is different, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, I don't know, like I'm from the Yukon, right? So
this is not even winter, right?
Yeah, like I'm used to. I mean, we also like, you know, we grew up, like I said, we grew up off grid, so, you know, we didn't have electric heating. We were, you know, wood stove. We were powered, you know, with a wood stove, and we, you know, melted snow water if we're drinking water.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like not having it be minus 40 degrees Celsius for like the majority, and just like having no snow as well is just really great. Yeah, I mean, like, the van also leaks on, like, the left-hand side, but it's, like, only, like, in the door well, so, like, I don't know, but, like, I didn't have a heater for, I literally just got a heater last week.
What kind of heater do you have?
Just, like, a little propane buddy heater.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard people use that, but I also hear it's kind of dangerous to use it in a confined space.
Yeah, but, like... I don't know, like, I haven't died yet, you know, like, I've used propane heat and, like, kerosene heat before in, like, wall tents and stuff, and it's, for the most part, it's relatively safe, you know, every now and then, you know, you gotta crack a window and you're getting lightheaded, but, like, I don't know, I'm assuming the fumes are gonna do something to me, but, you know.
Do you have a carbon monoxide detector?
I don't, no, I should probably get
You should at least get that for your peace of mind.
But no, I crack the window when I'm cooking, so it's all good, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, and I don't want to die of carbon monoxide poison.
Yeah, no. What do you think is a common misconception about van life and the people who live in vans?
I think that, I think there's two things. I think, like, several people can, like, I think people who, like, don't do it but admire it, I think there's, like, a certain romanticization around it. But, like, it's really, there isn't. It's not a very romantic way to live. You know, I was peeing in a...
You don't think so?
I was peeing in a Coke bottle last night, like... Yeah, not really. You know, it's like, especially when you don't have heat and it's like raining and, you know, there's like leaking on one side and, you know, your auxiliary battery's dying, so you're gonna run out of light in like half an hour and you just gotta go pee and there's like a creep park next to you. You don't want to go outside. Just like, there's like that aspect to think about. And it's just, it's not really romantic. No. But I think for the right type of person, it can be a ridiculously healthy lifestyle. And I think if you are that type of person, it can be very rewarding. And then I think there's like people who kind of look down on it and scour it, you know, like quote unquote, you know, I guess in demographic could be, you know, like, I guess, like, older, retired, you know, wealthier people who, you know, have been paying, you know, taxes and, you know, been landowners for, you know, 30-odd years. I feel like there's a certain amount of, I guess annoyance that they can look at. Almost like we're just like freeloaders, you know, living off of, you know, like welfare and you know, just. But that's not really the case. You know, like most people I've talked to, like I, in my opinion, I'm one of the rare people who does it by choice. Like a lot of people I've talked to, they're like forced to do it.
Yeah.
And then also with the homeless crisis in Victoria, like, because like I was parked up at Beacon Hill last night.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask, like, that place is swarming with homeless people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And majority of them are my age. You know, like
really
early 20s, and you know, there's like I've seen this couple who are in their early 20s, and they're just like living in a tent, you know, carrying everything around in rucksacks, and it's just like, and like they have jobs, you know, like they're working, but it's just like they can't afford housing, which is just like it's harsh, but that's the reality of the matter, right? There's like so many people can't afford it, and I think it's just like so I myself feel very fortunate to have a vehicle to live in. Yeah,
and like you said, like I also had this idea. It's like I'm doing this by choice, right?
Yeah.
There is that certain level of romanticism when you can like actually actively choose to be like, you know, this is my home and my car, and I could be paying rent and stuff, but I choose to do this rather than like not having a choice, right?
Yeah.
And having to force to like be in a certain place and not be able to travel just because you can't afford to live anywhere else, but you're still working.
Yeah, exactly. And like I've worked ridiculously hard to get to this lifestyle. Like I bought 4 vans this year, 4 separate vans.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So it's been a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of bad luck, but I finally got into one.
Have they just get broken?
Yeah, so the first I bought the one off my family in May.
And what was that?
That was the one that I grew up in.
Okay.
It was like it was a white Dodge B150. And I bought that, and within a month, it blew a piston head, and the engine broke. So I didn't really want to get it fixed, and so I just sold it back to my mother, which was really, really great of her.
Do you mind talking numbers a little bit as you're...
Yeah. So it was like $3,000.
Okay.
So I spent $3,000 on that, but then I got it back, so that was fine.
Okay.
And then I was still on the lookout. You know, I was thinking, I'll just come down here and buy one. But then someone was actually selling one in Dawson, so I was like, fuck yeah, hell yeah. So I called my buddy, the guy who I did the run with. I was like, hey, you know, you don't want to live with your family this year. Like, do you want to, like, split a van? And he goes, yeah, sure. So that one was $4,500, and I paid, like, $3,000 on it again, and he paid, I think, like, $1,500. And then 12 hours, and, like I got it inspected and everything, you know, it was great shape, you know, brand new starter, everything. You know, I took it for, like, 4 test drives or something insane. Like,
what?
Yeah, like, it wasn't, like, an impulse buy by any means. But yeah, and then I 12 hours after signing the contract, like the bill of sale, just stopped starting.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was just like electrical issue. So it was like I knew it would be super easy to fix, but it just wasn't going. And I tried to finish. Like the starter had been installed in May, so it was brand new. So I was like, I don't think
Okay.
It's just an electrical problem. It could be one of 3 things. I don't have the tools or the time or the knowledge right now to fix it.
Yeah.
So I got it towed out. I called up the local mechanic, Napa, in Dawson, and I got them to tow it out. They're like, oh yeah, sure, we can fix it. There's more to that story. But basically while that van was in the shop, my buddy, I got a grant to make a short film in the Tombstone Mountain Range this summer. So he and a small film crew flew up to help out with that project. And so he came up here and helped me out with shooting the film. And then after that, he just stayed in my father's cabin on his property and just worked grunt jobs. But while he was up there, another van came up for sale. And while this has probably been like a month at this point that my other van was like
your second van was in the shop?
In the shop, yeah. And so I hadn't heard anything from, like I called them a few times and they'd been like, oh, it's just started issue. But I didn't have much faith in them. Like I had taken several things to them before and they're just not great with old vehicles.
Yeah.
So I was like, so when this opportunity to buy another van for like $1,500 came up, and it was new engine. New engine.
What was it?
It was a Chevy, it was
cargo van.
Cargo van.
Yeah.
It was converted. Yeah, and so it was like that one. He was selling it for $2,500. And then I think so. My buddy. So I was like, you know what? Let's just get this one just for insurance. You know. So my buddy, he paid like $2,000, I think, and I put in $1,500. Or no, he put in $1,500. I put in $1,000. Yeah, that's how it worked. And Yeah, and then within a week, the drive shaft on that came loose, which is fine. But unfortunately, at that point, I was out in Newfoundland working. My company had flown me out there to conduct a survey. And so, basically, he got that fixed, and that van was working fine. And while I was in Newfoundland, I was calling. I called. It was like a month and a half at this point that they had my van, and they'd assured me that it was a starter problem. And I was like, but I had inserted there's a new starter installed in May. It's like, it doesn't make sense. And they're like, no, it's a starter problem. And so, I've called them maybe like 5 or 6 times at this point, and then I call them maybe 2 or 3 days before I'm supposed to leave and go back, and they go, yeah, sorry buddy, the starter came in, it's not a starter problem, we don't know what to do, we can't fix it. And I was like, what? Why? And then he goes, it's a van from '84, don't have high hopes. It's like, I just want you, he said, I don't have high expectations. I was like, I just want you to do your job, fix the van. Anyway, so I got back, but snow had hit. And my buddy, he's from Victoria, he didn't want to drive down in the snow. So he hopped in his van, and this is like a real beater, right? Like, there's like no key. Like,
wait, what?
Yeah, no key. Like, so the key's lost. So the guy just like fucked the tumbler. So you just turn the fucking. So there's no key.
Are you hot wiring the electrical system to start it?
No. It's just like where you put the key. In, you just turn that. You just turn that. Yeah. And it's like there's like fucking like the taillights were like duct taped on, and like it's just a real beater, right? And we didn't know about ICBC. Fucking. Yeah, we didn't know about ICBC. So anyway.
So what is ICBC for people who don't know?
ICBC is the insurance corporation they have to insure your car with.
In British Columbia.
And they have a very, very rigid, I guess, inspection process. Yeah, so you have to have like a really up-to-date. Anyway, there's no way that this car was even going to come remotely close to passing the inspection. But we didn't find that out until my friend had already driven the van down here, and his dad was like, this is ICBC. I mean, we're both 19, so we're both dumb, naive people. But yeah, anyway, so he goes, you won't be able to get it insured down here, right? Anyway, so I was like, oh, frick. Anyway, so he ended up just taking that van, and then I got the van that was in the shop towed out to a different mechanic, and he fixed it in 45 minutes.
What? What happened to it?
It was a burnt out ignition coil. He just bypassed the ignition coil and inserted a new switch, and it cost me $100. And then these guys called me up and they tried to charge me $700. And I was just like, what for? Inspection and diagnosis? Like, what?
No.
Anyway, so yeah, but then I got that van fixed, and I was living across river at that moment, just in my dad's house, and then winter was pretty much like full blown, and then I got news that they were pulling the ferry, which is how we get across. Get across the river in the summertime. They're pulling the ferry because there's like so much ice in the river, so I had to shut the place down super quickly, throw everything in the truck, drive across, and then I went and picked up my van, and then I was driving down to Victoria, maybe 2 or 3 days later, and I was just south of Whitehorse in like southern Yukon in Watson, just north of Watson Lake, and a semi-truck was coming towards me, and a tire, just as it passed me, a tire flew off of its cargo load and hit the front of my van, and it destroyed the radiator, and just basically totaled the van.
Holy shit.
So then I was like, fuck that. And I just booked a flight down to Victoria the next day and flew down. Which was also another endeavor, because I had like a temporary driver's license, because I had passed I'd gotten my full license, but I had the piece of paper. But so I couldn't board my flight the next morning either. But then I got an idea, and it was all got to board the afternoon flight. Got down here, and then bought the van that I have now in early November.
And this one hasn't given you
this one's been great. We were actually involved in an accident with it north of Campbell River during the run. I was taking a left-hand turn. It was a no-pass zone, and someone tried to pass me, and we hit them, and it was actually a really horrific thing to be a part of. But so their car was pretty much.
And is your car fucked?
We lost a hubcap. They don't build them like they used to.
Wait, what's a hubcap again?
Just the cap that goes on the wheel.
And yet that car was totaled?
Yeah,
what?
well, they were passing us. They were also going way faster than we were.
So did they, like, just nick you and then, like, spiral out or something?
I turned into them.
Yeah.
And I guess the front of my van hit the front of their car, and they, like, kind of spun and hit a tree.
And yet your van didn't crumple on collision?
No.
Wow, that's a beast.
Yeah, it's a tank. It is a tank. The front bumper was like bent a bit, but then I took it to, oh my god, yeah, I had a fucking...
That's how you know that it's meant to be.
Exactly.
After 3 other vans.
Yeah, and then it actually I think what happened was the crash knocked some fuses, because it started starting shortly after that, and so I just booked it into a mechanic in CAMPER, which was an experience of its own. That guy was really weird and pretty funny.
So how much would you say in total you've spent just on trying to live in a van this year?
Oh Jesus, 10, 12, 11 grand maybe.
Oh, that's actually not that much.
Exactly, right? See, this is my thinking, right? It's like you can either save up and sink like between 20 and 30 grand into a really nice, or you can just like buy really shit ones and and just try and get lucky, play the lottery.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely got burned when I tried to play the lottery because I didn't do my due diligence during the buying process.
Yeah.
And so mine's a 95 Dodge Ram 1500. And it looked solid, but the guy that I bought it from misrepresented the quality of it, and because the tires were bailed and I got it from like a little town 175 kilometers north of where I'm from. Like I couldn't take it to a mechanic, so I just took a risk, and I paid $5,000, which was like the top of my budget, right?
Yeah.
But then when I took it to a mechanic, I realized the transmission was fucked on top of other things. So I paid almost $10,000 basically.
Damn.
For like a 25-year-old car.
Yeah.
And since then I had like in September I had this like really like my car just kind of stopped. It broke down, but in the worst spot. It broke down 40 kilometers deep into a mountain logging road.
God, yeah.
So I had to pay another $600 just to tow it back to civilization.
Yeah, I would have had to pay like $900 to get my van towed. But I just rented a trailer for my aunt and her partner, and they drove down and just drove it onto the trailer.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I was really fortunate.
Yeah, my van has like costed me at least like I think $1,100, and that's not including like all like the equipment and stuff I bought for it. Luckily, it was already renovated. That was the one thing for me, because I didn't want to I didn't want to renovate my own van.
You don't want to do your own
I just don't have the capacity or like the tools to do it. So I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely did not win the lottery there. But honestly, like I love my van. Like like I'm very emotionally invested to her now. And apparently, you probably know with Dodges, it's like they're like the engine's like bulletproof, right? Yeah. It's solid. The only thing you have to really be concerned about is like transmission and electrical. And I've been fucked in both regards, and it's been fixed. How is it maintaining relationships in the van? Like, do you have any van life friends, or what's that all like?
I mean, well, like I said, I did my last 2 years of high school here. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I have connections and resources built up here. So it's nice to spend time with them. And like multiple times I've had friends be like, "Hey, we're gonna go hang out on like Beacon Hill." Like, oh, I'm fucking parked here already.
Just knock on my door when you're here. Just knock on
my door. And like another thing is because I was such a part of the avid running community down here. Everyone runs along the ocean, so it's like when I park in like McNeil or like beach drive area, it's like the amount of times my buddies just like knock on the van while running by. It's pretty funny. But then as opposed to relationships with other people, I mean, there's the Facebook group, so that's a good way to meet people. I don't know. I haven't been like I've been trying to strike up some conversations, and I've ran into a few people, but. Yeah, apart from the creepy guy last night, he parked next to me. Haven't really met too many. Yeah.
And you mentioned you're in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
How is that like dating while living in a van? Because you don't want to share it, right?
I mean, like it's a bit small to share, but I mean, it's fine. It has its challenges for sure. Like I said, it's like really awkward in there with like more than 2 people.
It's very cozy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just also just like the bed situation is like the bed I'm sleeping on is maybe like that wide.
Yeah.
And it's just like right up against the wall as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like not, yeah. So that's a bit challenging.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like, I kind of consider myself undateable right now just because, like you, like, my bed is, like, it fits me perfectly. I'm 5'6", so I can, like, sleep lengthwise or, like, I'll sleep diagonally, but with more than one person, it's, like, impossible. Yeah. So, you know, I consider myself a free lover. I'm willing to connect with anyone, but I am not sharing my van with anyone. And, that's fair. My 5 to 10 year plan is to, like, travel all the way, like, down through the Americas and back up, and again, it's like, it's kind of hard, like, when I'm, like, constantly on the move. Like, I'm settled in Victoria for at least, like, 4 to 5 months, so, like, I guess this is my opportunity to cultivate relationships, but, like, I don't really see myself being able to, like, pursue anything in the long term, so it's just, I don't know, it's a bit challenging, but, how would you, like, have you traveled a lot in the van, or have you mostly been settled here?
So I think in the year that I graduated, me and my mother actually did a road trip down from Dawson City to Portland, Oregon, and back up. But that was just so up and down the West Coast is really the only thing. Like, another thing to keep in mind is, like, I learned to drive in the Yukon, and so the roads down here are a bit scary.
What?
Yeah, terrifying. I hate it.
But you're okay on, like, backcountry roads in the Yukon?
Yeah. It's just dealing with other people, right?
Yeah.
It's like, there's so many more people here.
Yeah, I fucking hate Vancouver.
Like, the town that I'm from is, like, the population is smaller than the student body of the high school I went to, and we're 6 hours away from the nearest airport, international airport, right? We're like, so it's like we are literally in the middle of nowhere, and there's just no one. Like, there's no traffic lights, no, like there's like one paved road. That's the highway. That runs, and it's like, so that's where I learned to drive, and like I'm fine driving on snow and slush and ice, and like on old logging roads. Like I had to do that for work, but as soon as you throw a freaking like a, I don't know, like if you gotta do a left-hand turn, there's no advanced signal, I freak out. And then all the construction in Victoria, like, what the heck? Anyway, so I personally find driving really stressful, so I don't like to go. I like to stay kind of stationary. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like, I actually feel a lot more comfortable on, like, backcountry logging roads, and, like, I kind of avoid cities when I'm, like, living in the van. It's just not as comfortable for me, because I like, I have an outdoor setup. I like spreading out, and my van is not stealth at all. So someone's living in there, and it just feels weird when there's people around me. And all of my sketchiest experiences have been in a parking lot. Yeah. That's a bit close to the knuckle. Yeah, last night this guy like rolled around. He just parked in like a silver Lexus. I'd kind of seen him in the parking lot before, but like there's maybe like 15 vans in the parking lot up in Beacon Hill, and it's a big parking lot, right? There's no need for that guy to park right next to me. Yeah. But he was there, like, had his window down, and he was like, "Hey, I'm a nice guy looking for some fun." I was like, "Ugh." If you keep telling me you're a nice guy, chances are you're probably not. Yeah, nice guys don't really have to explain that. But yeah, he's like, come talk to me. I was like, no, just let me go back and write. Just leave me alone. Like, fuck this, Jesus. Ugh. Anyway, but yeah, that was probably the most upsetting encounter I've had. So for the most part, it's pretty good. Other than, like, weird people, what do you think are, like, the sketchiest experiences that you oftentimes run into in a van? That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like in Victoria, especially, there's like quite a bit amount of, like, it's quite a large amount of, like, prejudice. And I know, like, there's against people who live in vans. Yeah. Well, it's so interesting, right? Because it's like in, like, a city where, like, the with fucking paying rent is just like it's crazy how much people want for a month's rent. Yeah. Like, it's absurd. And given the fact that so many people can't even afford that, like, it's just, you think that people would be a lot more accepting of, alternate living options, but, like, I personally think that opening up Beacon Hill to tenting is, was really good and, like, very mature of the city, a really mature choice, but, like a friend, like, I don't know, I heard, like, there's this one lady, because we're all part of like the same Facebook group. So one of the, she's just like sitting in her van in the Whole Foods parking lot, and someone just walked around and like spat on it.
On her van?
Spat on her van, yeah. So I think there's just like a lot of just like, oh, you're just like, welfare leech, like get a job, contribute to the economy.
Where?
It's just like, what? It's like, I'm a seasonal worker, like I work in, I'm
And we're at the height of a pandemic as well.
Exactly.
Where, like, most
it's like,
people are unemployed.
Yeah, and it's like the state of the economy isn't exactly, shining right now either. It's just like, you think people would be a lot more tolerant, but I don't know. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm actually like very, very glad that I haven't had any issues, because I like moved into my van at like the height of the pandemic. Like I moved out of the house and traveled across Canada like from like July to October of 2020, and like people were worried, because I have Ontario license plate, like, would I be hazed? Would people, like, come up to me and tell me to, like, go back to my province?
Yeah.
But I guess maybe because I, like, spend most of my time in, like, backcountry camping and stuff, like, I found that outside of the large cities of, like, Vancouver and Toronto, like, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, people would come up to me without a mask and, like, talk to me about, like, my van, and, like,
That's
I bring them
funny.
in and stuff. It's weird.
That's so interesting. I've never had anyone come up and like actually show an interest. Like I've always been the one to kind of break the ice.
Yeah.
Which is
Well, I think I'm also because I'm like a young and beautiful woman, and you usually don't see like that.
Especially living in a van. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I know a friend of mine, a coworker. He drove up to the Yukon from Florida in May or June, and he had to quarantine in a hotel in Whitehorse, and he was there, and he had Florida plates, and it was like on his like second to last day of quarantine or something, someone burned his truck.
What?
Yeah, they just like poured diesel all over it and then set it on fire. And so it's like whether or not that was be like go back to where you came from.
Yeah.
It's unclear. He doesn't think so. He thinks it's just like a crime of opportunity, which could also make sense. There's some weird people out there.
Yeah.
But that's funny.
Yeah, that's really intense.
It's just like, why would you just burn a truck? I was giggling to myself thinking it's probably some overprotective soccer mom or something else.
Probably.
Leave my children alone.
Probably.
But
all right. So segueing from that, like, what have been the best experiences in the van? Like, how has living in a van changed you? I mean, I guess you've always kind of lived in a van.
Yeah,
so.
it's just I just love the lifestyle. I really like just having the time and the freedom to think and actually stop and observe what is going on around me. Because I think for a while there, when I was I was caught up in running, I was caught up in academics, and it was just like there's all this sensory overload, and I wasn't sure what it was, but it made me feel fucking awful. And I think finally being able to stop and identify and kind of find the root of these issues and then write about them and process them, and you look at these problems and you try and figure out how to solve them. It's in my opinion, it's a lot healthier way to live.
Absolutely.
So that's a great one. Also, it's just it's just like I don't know. I'm just it's just I'm having I love it.
Yeah.
It's like I woke up the other day at like 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I just like went outside, had a smoke, came back in, wrote for an hour and a half, and I was just like, you did something, right? It's like it's pouring rain outside, it's like I'm in my little cozy van, I'm writing. It's like, what else could I ask for?
Yeah.
It's so yeah, that's probably the best thing. It's just like, and just also just like all the obstacles I've had to get through to get to this place. It just feels good, because like. My original plan was like when I was coming back from Iceland, I was supposed to fly back to Victoria and live here. I was supposed to spend the summer here. But my parents wanted me home, so I was like, okay, I'll come back for 2 weeks. So basically I was trying to get down to Victoria ever since March. And I didn't make it until, pretty much end of October, November, so it was a lot of work, but I think just like finally seeing that it's paid off, it's just really, really nice.
Yeah. I definitely resonate with that. Like I loved living in the van just because it was it was a great way to like unplug and like really deeply connect with myself. Like I really connected with my writing as well. Like I like journaled a lot, like every day, and it initially started with just like recording my experiences and stuff like that, but it went so much deeper. It really helped me like process a lot of things that were happening, let go, you know. And I feel like I grew like exponentially in such a short amount of time because I was really able to just let go of things as they came and just continue to be in the moment and experience new things. And especially I think when you're alone, like that was like basically my outlet and my way of connecting for long periods of time where I'm not with other people. And I definitely agree with you. Like, it's a great way to, like, get more creative.
Yeah, and I think just any time spent in isolation and in any, you know, even if you are, although I must say, I do think that personal challenge is a key ingredient in tandem with isolation in order to not necessarily, you just kind of like I guess open up awareness and, you know, just become more acknowledging of things that are going on around you, and very much creativity. Like coming from the Yukon, right? I grew up with all these people who would, you know, spend entire winters caged up in log cabins, you know, like 10 by 14, 10 by 20 feet, and you know, it's dark. Like 20 hours of the day.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
like pitch black?
Pitch black. You got like, well, maybe like 18 hours a day pitch black. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was including like sunset and sunrise. Maybe like 6 hours, kind of like
wow.
But like, yeah, it's like it doesn't get light in my hometown until 2 p.m. now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like 11:30 is when the sun starts to rise.
And here I'm complaining about the constant overcast days.
Yeah, but like a buddy of mine, right? Like I remember I was probably like 12 or 13 at the time. And he was older. You know, maybe he's probably like early to mid 20s when he was doing this. But like I remember talking to him, and he was just like he was just holed up in a cabin on like 8th Avenue by himself and just like tripping on acid every night and just like writing booklets. That's just how he spent his winter. And just like the amount of people in Dawson who are like that. I was talking to another friend of mine. He was reading on this like weird this theory that you can manipulate your conscience via depriving your body of nutrients. So he just like didn't eat. He just like had like this really strict diet, but it's just all just like carbohydrates pretty much. And he's like, I'm gonna try and find the path to enlightenment. But he just got like horribly depressed for like 9 months in just a complete darkness. He's like, don't ever do that, Jack.
Okay. And
I was just like, okay, yeah, that's fair. So it's like coming from, you know, almost like a culture of, you know, just like hermits who isolate and produce things. You know, it seems very natural to me. I don't know. It's fun, and it does something to the person. You're spending all that time alone and working and thinking, and it's like I think a lot of people with mental issues, you know, I think it's pegged as, you know, like schizophrenia or, you know, even like, you know, some sort of like psychosis. But I really don't think it is that. I think it's just like becoming in tune with, you know, the second the second self that is responsible for, you know, sensory overload and, you know, storage of information. I don't know.
The second self.
The second self.
What's that?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's just an idea. You know, nothing I say is word of law, but it's the idea that, you know, that the self that we identify with, we've evolved it almost as a sentient god dog, and that it's, you know, overtaken and now it's in way more control. So you're talking about like planned.
Your external persona,
who I identify as, right? But then, you know, say when I go to sleep or when I meditate, you know, you can it almost feels like there's this second like thing inside of me, and
the awareness, right?
The awareness, yeah. It's very much the same. I think that the psychological term for it is like the cave, and it's like it can be argued, you know, that is where the true self is, and it's you know, true sentience, and that's and that we've evolved, you know, who like Jack, like I've evolved Jack in order to as like a necessary evil, if that makes sense, to protect the precious cargo that is the true self from external threats and I guess dangers to my own survival. I don't know, it's just ideas.
Interesting. Right? It's interesting to me that you mentioned the self, because that's a concept that I really connected to when I was in the van as well. Like you're saying, like you spend so much time by yourself that you really do start like tapping into like deeper levels. And I realized that the more that I'm I'm connected with my truest self, the more I'm capable of connecting with other people on a deeper level. Because if you think about it, like what do the words myself, yourself, and his self all have in common? It's self, right?
Self, yeah.
And what does self fundamentally mean? Like, look at the other languages. It would be like moi-même, toi-même, il-même. In Spanish, mi mismo, tú mismo, si mismo.
Yeah.
You know what mismo and mem means? It means the same.
Yeah.
The same. So I found, like, one of the things, one of the observations I made in the van was, like, when you truly are able to be selfish in the right ways, you know, taking care of your fundamental needs, seeing yourself on a fundamental level, you're able to show up much more selflessly for others, because you have a better idea of what they need in their lives, because you're able to connect with that parts of yourself.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this last night, and I think it's just like if you have like an awareness and acknowledgement of, you know, that everything that is possible, you know, is possible because it can be possible, and you have to value that, and you have to, you know, respect that, right? You have to be grateful that all the negative things that are possible, they're not part of your life at this, you know, particular moment. So yeah, it's very much almost just like I don't know, I really like the term worship, even though I think it has like several you know, really several negative connotations with it. But it's almost like the idea of just not to say worship, but paying respect and like, just acknowledging that other possibilities exist, and just, you know, just recognizing the weight that has. I don't know. And then I think that in correspondence with the concept of the self, I don't know, I feel like that is, I guess, where like this holistic feeling that we're all connected comes from, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Okay, super cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely do think like you need to worship yourself. Like I said, if once you really connect and you're able to meet like your most fundamental needs, like it opens you up to like such deeper levels of love and empathy. Yeah,
and I've gotten to the point where like through meditating, where I've realized this like thing inside of me that is ridiculously powerful and incredibly sentient, and you know, just like it's like, oh my God, is this God? Right? But I don't think it. I think it's the self.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's this analogy where they ask like, what is the one place to put that we can put God that humans would never look?
Oh.
It's within their own selves.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah, because, oh my God, I'm reading a book right now called The Old Drift by Namwali Serpa, I think. I could be getting the name wrong. But she's a Zambian writer. And I just read like the first introduction, but it was, she used this word, I think it's mazanga or mazungu or something, but it's how the tribal African culture viewed. It was a term they used to refer to white man, you know, in colonial times. And it didn't refer to the color of the skin, but it referred to the concept of someone who would just wander in circles until they died.
Mazungu, the white person.
Mazungu. I don't know if that's the word. It's something like that. But it's just the idea that, you know, it's just like we're just so self-deluded that we're looking for something, we're looking for it, but we're just looking in the wrong places.
Yeah, we look everywhere except for inside, right?
And so this guy, he was looking for the heart, the source of the Nile, right? But so he was looking, and he got mauled by a lion. Like his wife died of fever. Like he ended up dying in a hut. I think because he like his raft tipped and he lost his quinine or something.
Yeah.
He died in a hut, and then he was like disemboweled by his like followers, and his like heart was planted on a tree, and his body shipped back to Britain. And but it's so weird because it was like, oh yeah, he just never thought to think that the Nile could be coming from two sources, you know, that it's split, you know, one blue and one white, and that's the two colors of the water of the Nile. But, you know, there's also a novel, so, you know, I didn't research it, so, you know, don't take everything as a grain of salt, but it's just something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
You know, I don't know, I'm just, I got this film coming out, February.
Do you want to plug it?
Yeah, it's called Maybe We Should Club Him and Throw His Body Off a Cliff.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I assume it's a comedy?
It's a comedy, yeah. It's actually a comedy about making a film in the mountains. So, you know, you just got some surrealism in there. Yeah, I got that. I have an Instagram page where I have a website where I post writings.
What's your Instagram?
Son.of.atticus.
Okay, I will leave a link to that down below.
Yeah, there's some funky paintings that I did and links to the website. The website is called Lake Street Horror Machine.
Okay.
And it's just so I've been working on that. I'm in the process of getting a book published. Mm-hmm. So hopefully.
And where will your film be?
So we're gonna so I'll probably have a link to it on my website. I'll post it on my website, but I also want to tour it through festivals. So I have to look into the logistics of that more. But I think I'll have a trailer done in the next week or so.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then just writing, and then I gotta go back to work, back up to work in May. So that's coming up quickly. I'm supposed to be walking to Banff in April with my friend Zach Charlesworth.
And are you gonna sell your van? What's gonna happen with that? No. Are
you kidding me? You gotta keep the ones that work.
Yeah, you definitely do. Run them to the ground.
Yeah, no, I have a grandmother out in Sydney, so I'll probably just park my van there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No,
right.
So it should be good.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful rest of your day.